how the tides turn and how the sun crawls into another new season. Welcome
Crawls
back,
like a
folks.
crab.
Thank you, Heather. I was like, how do I connect it? How do I connect it? Yes, crawls like a crab into the next season. Welcome back, folks, and happy Cancer. Happy
Woo.
Cancer, everyone. It's crab season, bitch.
Happy
I
Cancer
can't.
sounds like an
I know. I was kind
oxymoron.
of like, Happy Cancer season. Crab season, everyone.
Grab your
Um,
pillow.
grab your pillow, have a sit. I think let's get deep because it's not on the surface with this sign, is it, Heather?
It's not. It never is.
It never is, but it's also just so funny how we talked about the ebbs and flows of Gemini and how there were some like pockets there that we maybe weren't expecting, and then this
Mm-hmm.
subtle sort of like transition into Cancer after we've just done a lot of like internal Gemini thinking, like we talked about,
Yes.
then we move
Yes.
into sort of that Cancer momentum and that Cancer flow, that watery flow of like now we're just in action with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's so interesting, all the muckiness that kind of turned up there at the end of
Yeah.
Gemini,
Yes.
getting us
Yes.
nice and lubricated for Cancer season, nice and warmed up.
Nice and lubricated. Oh my goodness. Yes.
What a time.
Yeah, Cancer. I I have a lot
And
of
we are
oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just
I
gonna
was just sorry. I'm like, shut up, Miranda, you just told her she could talk, and then I said what
No,
I was
you
just
go
going to
because
point
I was
out is
about to
that
yeah.
I always feel like I'm like, before Heather, you dive into that.
Yeah.
I'm like cutting you off at the knees. I was gonna also point out we are recording this a little prematurely from Cancer
Yes.
season with our schedule. And so it's so interesting because normally, folks, listeners, when we record, we are right with y'all. We are recording like a day or two before our episode releases so that we're in that exact energy.
Yes.
So it is interesting as we're recording this episode, not to like spoil anything for the listeners, for the fans, but we're kind of not, we right now are not in the Cancer energy. So talking about it is also sort of like, this is the first time we've really kind of had to do this
Yeah.
because of our recording schedule, and we've got some out of town shenanigans coming up. But
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really interesting sort of talking about what we're
Something
going to
that
be
hasn't.
entering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And we could cut
Um
that out later if we decide we don't want the listeners to know that we're not directly in that energy.
No,
But
I mean, I think
it
it's
is just,
honest. I
yeah.
think normally we
We love to
are.
be honest. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
And with that, go ahead. I just wanted to do a
Yeah.
little context
Yeah, totally, totally. No, that's good. I think that
that I maybe feel so good because we're not in Cancer yet. I'm just kidding.
right.
I'm just like, I'm having a really good time because maybe we're not in Cancer. This is going to, I don't want to
Uh,
lie to the listeners.
I
Sorry.
know. Every water
Please go
season
ahead.
kind of has me a little bit like, I'm already so emotional. No, please.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, Cancer. Oh my, I have to say, like, I have had a lot of recent friendships and people in my life who have big Cancer placements, and I think they're such special individuals, and it makes me want to have more Cancer people in my life. But for some reason, it's not the sign that I naturally like attract or gravitate toward. And I've been thinking lately, maybe it's because of like the shyness. I don't know. I was reading Liz Green's little blurb about Cancers on her website, and shy and sensitive was one of the statements about it. And I was thinking, like, are they shy? I guess I get what Liz means there. And I wonder if that's why I don't have so many Cancers in my life, because I can be a little shy. But anyway, love Cancer, love the energy, love the sensitivity, love the coziness, the warmth. Yeah. What are your general thoughts on Cancer?
Sorry. I was like,
That was a lot.
I talked. No. I talked so much that I was like, get the microphone away from your mouth so Heather can go. Like, I literally was just like, Yes, Heather, I'm right here. I
We're
was
still in
like
Gemini.
making sure I didn't jump in too early. No, I was gonna say the same thing. Cancer as a water sign, it's usually not it's so funny because I love saying that. That's like my favorite tag when things are like not that funny. But what is interesting to me being a water sign is how different cancers feel from me. And how different cancers I feel like feel from Scorpios. As a
Mhm.
Pisces sun, I can like meet another Scorpio and I know that sort of like I know I'm in a safe space for being able to express my emotions as I feel them with that person. I
Yeah.
think that's more like there's almost like a safety net of like, oh, I'm allowed to be a little more in tune with my emotions in front of like this person or with this energy because they're not afraid of it. Cancer is a water sign emotion to me that does so much of its emotional
Processing?
processing, and just like a lot of I think a lot of it is more internal. I think a lot of my
Yes.
emotions for me are very, I wear them on the sleeve. It's very external.
Same.
The second I feel them, I'm processing them. I'm trying to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Cancer, I almost feel like gives off this energy of like, that was emotional. I'm gonna process that later. And like and
Right.
almost and I'm envious. I'm envious because
Yeah.
I think this is like Cancer, it's not like they're not feeling, they're just not immediately expressing. And again, I think this is, we've talked about like the symbol of the crab before, Heather. I don't know if we ever have officially on the podcast, but it's like
Mhm.
to me the crab symbol is so, could not be more accurate of
Cancer.
like it does
Yeah.
not mean that they're, they, I think Cancer sometimes can have a hard exterior and it's not from a place of like they're not emotional. It's just there's,
Mhm.
crabs protect their innards with this like
Mhm.
hard shell. Their little innards are so fragile that they have to, right? That's the whole
Mhm.
purpose of a crustacean.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me that energy of Cancer could not also be more accurate. And then you get
Mhm.
a Cancer drunk and all of a sudden the Cancer's crying and you're like, oh my god,
Mhm.
there's so much depth under here, I had no idea. Like, and
Right?
Scorpio sitting there like, I thought I was dark, and like we're seeing
Yeah.
all the crevices when a Cancer gets
It
drunk
was
or like has
dark.
their shield, has like their shell down for a minute or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not like whenever I feel like in the Cancer energy, yes, it's a little less like, Pisces comes at the end. It's so heavy. It feels so many things at once. It's a literal fish in water just going through it. It's so nice to kind of come around to Cancer, knowing that there's gonna maybe be some like introspective work and some processing. I don't think it necessarily. It's like, yeah, I need a break, Heather. I'm a water sign personally, so it's like I'm always feeling shit. Cancer to me is almost like a. It's just interesting. It doesn't strike me as a sign that's like constantly going through it by any means and really revels in its emotions, maybe the way like Pisces and Scorpio really owns it and likes it. Like I think Cancer prides itself on being able to still process, have a hard exterior, so to speak,
Yeah.
but still being deep. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
Just
totally.
talking in
Totally.
circles.
No, no, I totally agree. Yeah, and the crab metaphor is just like unreal how they carry their home with them. Like and they crawl sideways. That's another thing too. Is like
Literally.
cancers aren't in the same vein of like oh god, what was I just going to say? Um of not being like emotionally expressive in the moment always.
Yes.
They when they want something they kind of tend to be indirect about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm. But they're sensitive souls. There's a sensitivity to
yeah.
Cancer and understanding, like like you said, like a warmth, a coziness, an understanding, like a human. There's empathy. Cancer is such a feels like a very empathetic
Extremely.
energy. Yeah,
Extremely. Yeah, and
it's
I think
really
it's
safe. It's like a very nice energy. I don't know how to explain it. And I'm not
yeah.
trying to shit on water signs. I am a water sign, but and again, so when we're in Pisces, I'm sure there's a lot of me that's just like going through my own stuff, but it does feel like you get tousled there. And Cancer being the first water sign,
Yeah.
and it come and how early it comes too.
Uh-huh.
It is so like it's not that it's not as intense as Scorpio and Pisces can be, but it is just like the way, yes, it goes about its intensity is a lot more, I think, palatable, and for people who maybe aren't as in tune or don't are not used to, don't want to be in the feels as much, unlike me,
Mm-hmm.
where I love it.
Right.
But like Cancer, it feels like it's like, and the symbol of the crab, like it can be watery, and then it
Uh-huh.
can thrive on land.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah. And
There's like
that's
this,
like,
like, yeah, I don't know how to
yeah.
explain it.
Yeah. I think that what
Nice energy.
the symbol of Cancer is trying to accomplish is feeling like being your own home for yourself, giving yourself that own your sense of family and comfort, but just on your own without needing anything external to give that to you. um and yeah, I feel like Cancer season especially is going to bring up themes of how we can nurture ourselves outside of any sort of external person or thing. Like it's really about how
Mm.
to, yeah, provide all of that love and warmth and comfort to yourself in your own way.
That is
Um,
so interesting, Heather, especially just with the timeline of this like what was really sort of brought up during Gemini, especially. And I know we have like the new moon in Gemini as we moved into Cancer, but it is just so how, yes, a lot of like Gemini was about sort of internal focusing and sort of
yeah, in a
understanding,
mental way.
and then the practicing it through Cancer, and how
Mm-hmm.
like the energy of Cancer is just that is its nature, is like
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and there's something so, the idea of family is so linked to Cancer. The maternal mother archetype is very much Cancer. It's ruled by the moon. Um so I predict that this season is going to bring a lot of like, buying candles, redecorating your home, getting a nice new blanket. But
Mm.
but then, that also sounds very Taurus, but it's like
Right. No, well, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of Cancers in my life personally kind of also almost give me
a
Taurus
Taurus.
vibes.
Yeah.
In the way that, again, and as I mentioned, like, the crab can go into water, but then it can also really thrive on land. It's like good in both realms.
Yeah.
A lot of Cancers I know give off earth. They really give off groundedness to me.
Yeah.
And again, I that's really interesting, that symbol of the crab, and how like a crab can just be on land, and it can also, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny that you brought up Taurus, because I'm like, as I think about it now, Cancer almost, it feels like a grounding water
Yeah.
sign,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Please.
All the Cancer people that I know do a really good job of like taking care of themselves, even though I also think Cancers can get like messy and drunk, and there's that side to all the
Right.
water signs.
Right.
But
Which we love.
which I personally very much love. But oh God, where is my mind today? What was my thought just now? Oh no, okay, yeah. I think they're good at taking care of themselves because again, it's that practice of like mothering. Like they know that in order to have that emotional homeostasis, they have to
Yeah.
have a fulfilling job. They have to pay the bills. They have to be able to make a good meal for themselves. There is like a sense of groundedness. I agree.
It's like their quality of life is very at the forefront from them, and I don't mean that in like a materialistic or like money
No.
way. It's truly like it's like a Cancer just knows how to get their needs met. And it's
Yeah.
like Cancer's just already aligned with like, oh, that'll make me feel good, and it's good for me. Like they
Yeah.
just, why would I think twice about that? Whereas like some water signs can maybe be a little more self-sabotagey, ayo, and like purposely take a route that they know maybe is not going to be the best I don't know. Not
Yeah.
speaking for all water signs, but it is, yeah, Cancers, I really enjoy this energy.
Mhm.
Um and real quick, Heather, shall we pause here,
Yeah.
and then I would love to do a little closing, of
Yeah.
course, make
For
sure we
that.
can like, yeah,
For sure.
we'll hop right back in.
Yeah.
Cool. Just fabulous, this energy,
Mhm.
Heather, and the mothery nature of it. I have to,
Mhm.
I know we got some birth charts to hop into, but
Yeah.
before we get there, I would just love to shout out because I know she listens. I do know she
Aw.
listens. And I'm going to her wedding later in the year, which is just so
Aw.
exciting. But Amber Halstead, my little angel baby, she's like, when I think of Cancer, she is always the first person who pops into my head. She's the first person who comes to mind. She is textbook Cancer to me. So shouts out to Amber, because I know she listens.
Shouts out.
Yeah, that's like, she's a very close Cancer to me. Go ahead, Heather. Sorry.
I also love that Cancers, in my experience, tend to really embrace astrology and find interest in it.
Yeah. Or like
all the water signs, actually, but
they're naturally spiritual in that way.
yeah,
They
how
can't
can you
help
not
themselves.
be when you're so emotional? It's like that's always the thing that brings me back to spirituality. I feel like is like a really bad day, or like
honestly though,
or
honestly.
like you know, just being in my feelings. Like yeah.
No, absolutely. And like that's like Amber gives off, she's such a Cancer, but then she also like, she's such a plant mom. She's very nurturing. She's like someone that like I would have a blast with going out and drinking. She's always down, but also like I would see Amber get emotional and let her guard down like a night out in college. And I'm like, whoa, where's the side of Amber coming from? In a way that I was like, you are so Cancer. And like, it's just so, the Cancers are so fun. They're just such pure energies.
Yeah, it does feel
I just
pure.
love that. I wanted to shout out Amber. And yeah, just this time in general just feels very like, like, and Amber is also someone who has such a green thumb and reminds me a lot of like Taurus energy, or really reminds me of like Taurus, especially when I think of like earth signs. I really think of Taurus when it comes to like plants, honestly, and just being like plant moms. All the Taurans in my lives like love plants. They're very into them. And like
I think Cancer, but that's
is a really plant heavy sign to you too. Like,
well,
it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, shouts out to my god sister, Autumn, who is a Cancer sun, Scorpio moon, Cancer rising, and her brother Liam is also a Cancer, and they were like my family friends growing up. And Autumn works, she's like high up, she's like a manager at a plant, I don't even know what you call it, like she takes care of plants for a living, like, and she knows everything. And like, I told her about these plants that I bought that I somehow am keeping alive. And she told me exactly what the name is. Like, I just like briefly described it. And she was like, oh, it's this. You have to do this. You have to feel the roots. You have to like, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you're so cute. You're so Cancer.
Literally. And Amber was an environmental science major and like works in like, again, I don't know her official title, but like, I know that her job deals with the environment. Like, it's very important to her. And Amber was always a vegetarian, but like for more from places of like environmental reasons, was always like her. And but also if you talk to Amber, I think there is a part of her that's also like, oh, animals. But no, like, it really is more about like the environment for her, was why she was a vegetarian all through college and stuff. I believe she still is. But yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like Cancer also doesn't get enough credit for how creative it is. Like it's meant to birth things and nurture things. And so yeah, it has a green thumb, but then it's also like a very talented, intuitive artist who can like nurture a creative project into something beautiful. So
what a beautiful energy. And you just reminded me, Heather, when Cancer officially, because obviously we're doing this podcast a little early, when the sun does officially enter Cancer, I will be in Switzerland, and a lot of that trip, like, we're planning on hiking in the Swiss Alps. And you're like reminding me that I'm literally gonna like be in the Swiss Alps as we hit Cancer season. And I think
that'll be nice.
As we're just talking about like the green thumb and like being in the environment and kind of like being with nature, I'm kind of like, okay, that's gonna be an awesome little time. Or like I'm extra excited for that energy now. Wow.
And that's gonna be like a nice cozy, I feel like family time also.
Yes. And like my family will not be there, but I'm with my partner's family and I love them like they're my own. Truly, I'm so comfortable with them, maybe too comfortable. And just know, like, being in their energy is very cozy. Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to that. I think Sam's dad's a Cancer.
Oh.
Sorry. That's just so, as that hit me, I'm like, I want to say Sam's dad or my partner's father is a Cancer.
Oh my
His
goodness.
mom,
I
I know his mom
love
is a Scorpio. I do know that. And
Wow,
we
how
really hit it off.
cool. Yeah, yeah. She's the one who loves astrology. It makes sense. I kind of like want to marry a Cancer man. Like I think
Wow.
that I'm gonna say that on the pod. I think that like and you know, my dad has a Cancer moon, but like I think it's Cancer is such a feminine, it's one of the most feminine signs. And I think that you know, men kind of men with Cancer placements may struggle sometimes because it's not something that society has embraced or
Right.
you know cultivated within us. But
Right.
but like some of the Cancer men that I know, especially like the more mature older ones, are like, I fucking love my wife. Like I like she is the greatest. Like, can you just take a look at her? Like, you know, one of my Cancer cousins just got married, and he's like, his whole energy is like, I'm obsessed with this woman. I'm so in love. Like,
That's awesome. Yep.
Sorry, I don't know how I got on that.
No, well, I think I mean, and now I'll feel awful if Sam's dad's not a Cancer, but or like, but that is so funny that you say that, Heather, because like and we like to have fun in astrology. We like to joke. There is no real wrong or bad sign, of course.
Exactly.
But the way I would run from a Pisces man, respectfully, as a Pisces woman. But like,
I know.
No, I do, like, out of all the water signs in terms of like a partner, I think for me, but again, I'm a Pisces, so I have a little bias that I feel like I'm allowed to say.
Yeah.
Sam is a Cancer rising and
Right.
like has Cancer placements in a way that and you know, we've now been in this shit for 7 years or what have you. So like it is so funny to watch, to meet that side of him as the years like progress. Not meet that side of him, but like yeah, I think there's a lot of like I think I made the joke about like running from a Pisces sun, but like I think it'd be extremely hard for me to be in a relationship if my partner didn't have at least a little bit of water placements.
Right.
Personally.
I know.
I just do think there is something like, and you just have a lot of water, so it makes all the sense in the world to me that you would crave that as well.
Yeah.
But again, what a like lovely like what a lovely energy Cancer embodies on the personal level, the like overall environment that we're in. It's just, yeah. And also, real quick, Heather, before I forget, now that we're like half an hour in, the introductions. You, Heather, you genius, you water placement ass, little fucking queen, you astrology professor of the arts.
Oh, stop. Of the arts.
But truly, it's been, yeah, I love entering a new season with you too. And I just love, like, I can't believe we're on this is episode 40, Heather. It's crazy. Here we are, episode 40. Happy Cancer season to us.
The fourth sign, 40th episode.
Oh, the fourth sign, the 40th episode. And folks, it's me, Miranda Linsky, just along for the ride, just having a blast, absorbing it all like the little Pisces sponge I am, baby. We're in Cancer. It's wild. I can't believe time flies when you're looking at the stars and making sense of the universe, huh, Heather?
It really does. It really does, especially if you're living in 2023.
Holler. No, yeah, just what a beautiful time. Is there anything, and I know we'll circle back and get into a closing, Heather. Is there anything else before we hop into these charts and sort of analyze these next Cancers we have? Is there anything else about this time that you wanted to flag for us, or should we can also wait till the closing?
Mercury is entering Cancer within the same week that the sun enters Cancer. Like I said last episode, Mercury just whizzed through Gemini, only was in there for 2 weeks, and Mercury rules Gemini, it's communication. So yeah, and you know, Venus is in Leo. So this Cancer season, and a lot of astrologers are saying this summer, there's a big emphasis on love and relationships and what we need to feel loved and how we use that to relate to others. And I think that that's going to be a highlight throughout not only the summer, but throughout Cancer season for sure. And then Venus is going to retrograde, and that's a whole thing. But the Leo and Cancer energy combined, getting totally out of the air, I think it's nice. It's summer lovin'.
Oh, I love that, Heather.
Yeah.
That's exciting. What an exciting little feeling.
Cancer man, come find me.
Sorry. A little, yeah. A little summer romance.
Yeah.
No, that's such a fun feeling. And yeah, like I was saying too, not to get too personal with it, but like this little trip, this little vacation I'm going on, I'm really excited because I'm going on it with my partner, and we're visiting his family, and we're going to two different countries. One country neither of us have been to, which is just going to be a really fun little adventure. And then another country that he's already been to, but it's going to be my first time being there. And like, we just haven't really had a chance to take a vacation like this, to really just like go on a trip. You know, we travel all the time for like weddings or events, but it's been a long time since we've just like, just something for like fun, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it. And that's like the energy I'm like, the intent of going in there too, of like, we've never done something like this. And you know, we've known each other and been around each other for a minute now. So it's really like exciting that it's something like new, and it's going to be like a change of pace for us.
And the time is ripe for it. It's like all aligning with the stars. That's
what I'm like. It's just, you know, we planned this like trip sort of fell into our laps. We were very like fortunate and lucky that the opportunity presented itself. But then like, as now I'm like realizing how this aligns with the stars, like it couldn't be. It's so wild. It's just as you're saying this, I'm like, what? I didn't even plan it like this. And that's just how it goes. And a lot of times these summer romances, we don't plan for either.
Hello.
This has been the longest summer romance I've ever had. This has been the longest summer fling. My current partnership was a summer fling that started in 2016 and hasn't stopped. So here we are.
You guys deserve this. I'm so happy for you.
I'm like, this is the big, it's going to be the vacation that ends us.
Shut the fuck up.
Totally kidding. I just had to add a little of my humor in there. But I'm just like, why I come back and I'm like, well, Heather, I'm moving cities. No, I'm just kidding. That's just so funny. Yeah, no, what a time. Listeners, get out there, get social. Okay. Put your flirting face on. And also, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, even if it's not a romance in terms of the external, right? As we talked about with all this Gemini-ness that we were just in, and the way that Cancer operates, making a little home for yourself, having a little romance for the internal with you. Maybe you already have a romantic partner. Hey, maybe you have more than one. Okay. But if we're not stirring that, what am I trying to say? If we're not igniting our own romantic flame with ourselves, it's all for naught.
It's
Make
true.
sure you're loving on yourself, doing fun things for yourself. Just saying. Romance comes in all many different ways in relationships, or it doesn't always have to be, you know.
You can crawl around the beach all by yourself with your little home on your back.
Romanticize your little ass life, bitch. That's all any of us is trying to do out here, huh? And on that note, Heather, amen, sister. And on that note, shall we hop in? Claws first?
Yes.
Pinterest first. To these next charts.
We shall.
Who'd we do? Who went first last time? I do this every time.
Oh, God.
I don't know if it really matters.
I think you did.
Okay, then you go.
Okay. So here's a Cancer who I think is a little bit of she's a party girl Cancer, but more than that, I shouldn't lead with that. She's an icon.
Truly.
Yeah. The one and only Lindsay Lohan. Cancer sun. We love her.
And the party girl rep that you opened with, Heather, isn't far off, but I do these poor child stars, but on top of that, she's a child star with a Cancer sun.
I know.
Oh my. We did
and
not
the
protect
best
this girl.
Mother. I mean, you know.
Jesus. Yeah. No, yeah, I hear you.
It's
a very similar like Britney Spears situation-ish. I kind of feel like, and unfortunately this kind of happens with child stars. They're, the parents, not all child stars, but like a lot of times I think the parents are so addicted to the cash flow, and there's so much that we're not seeing. And I think the world is slowly but surely, Hollywood's gotten a lot better about protecting kids. And I think it's such a sad reality when that much money is involved, that you have to make sure there are laws protecting kids from their own family and their own parents. Like yeah.
No,
She's
it's
the victim of a
really
lot of bullshit, and she was not protected. And her party girl ways are only our
Oh my God, I
fault, or
have the
like,
most
what I mean?
empathy. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
no,
So I'm
I
just saying,
don't
you
say
wouldn't
that
be
with any.
wrong to say that, but like, I hear where you're coming from.
No,
Go on.
for sure, for sure.
We love Lindsay. We mean
Uh,
all due respect, and we don't think she was protected.
yeah,
If I may be so bold.
yeah. No, it's
Poor
really
Cancer
sad. We've
baby.
seen it with so many people, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
the fact that she's a Cancer, the poor thing. Taurus moon, Gemini
Ooh.
rising.
Wow.
Yeah,
That explains
and
her accent.
she's good with language. She can take on many dialects.
I'm being
she's
I'm being a little nasty.
She adapts to whatever environment she's in. Yeah,
Carries that little home on her back, and she's a new person in it. No, I'm totally kidding. But
oh my
I
God,
just
that's
remembered
really
that.
funny. Yeah. Oh God.
But like,
Oh.
so did Madonna. Madonna started changing her accent too. They all do. They like, all the celebs go and get a home in a new area, and then like start faking an act. Go on. But Lindsay was a whole nother. Go on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this chart. Yeah. So Lindsay, of course, we know. I mean, everyone knows Lindsay's story. She started off as a model, apparently doing like commercial modeling as a very young child, and then
Wow.
the Parent Trap happened, and she's
Iconic.
been working hard ever since, until recently. Now she spends a lot of her time in Dubai, where she runs this beach hotel, and she did a reality show about that, where she was like the Lisa Vanderpump of this like beach resort in Greece or something. Maybe it wasn't Dubai, I don't know, but that was funny because she was walking around with she was she was like ordering people around with her British accent, being like, this is my beach resort. I can't even do it. Like,
I had no idea about this. I'm being so honest right now.
Jordy and I watched like 3 episodes, and it was really a lot.
Wow. I had no idea. I really had no idea. That shocks me. I really didn't know that was a thing. Wow. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that what is always really interesting to me about Lindsay is, one, that she's very talented. Like, I think that she's a very, very good actress.
Yes, I agree.
The Netflix Christmas movie she did recently, I don't think that was her fault. I think that was the directing and the writing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also that she has just had to deal with like so much family drama in the midst of everything, and how she kind of didn't really ask for this life. We've talked about a lot of these celebrities, but yeah, like her dad was in and out of prison, I think, for most of her life.
That's right.
Her mom, to me, has always seemed like a crazy like stage mom who's very not grounded and not very human, in my opinion. And when I pulled up her chart, I was expecting like major mommy issue, daddy issue, like red flags here. And I think that Cancers have to deal with some sort of maternal archetype theme in their life. And her Cancer sun is in the first house opposite Mars. So they do say that when the sun is opposite Mars, there's like Mars is like the aggressor, it's Aries planet. And so you have to like figure out where your own strength and power lies through opposition, through like a powerful opposite force. So I guess that is prevalent in this chart. And then the moon in Taurus is interesting too. I don't know. It feels like she had a mother that wasn't the most grounding, and she has to like learn how to find that on her own.
Like mother herself, and also just like ground herself. And
I
in a
guess that's a
world
theme
where
in this
that
chart.
was never really offered to her. No
Yeah.
wonder.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking at her chart now, Heather. I had to pull it up. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's
Like it
very
is,
spread out.
it's so spread out. Yeah. And then am I looking at this right? Is that a do I dare see a grand trine?
I
Am
think
I looking at it
that
right? Or it looks like Pisces,
um
Scorpio, and
yeah, I
is that
think
a triangle?
almost.
So
Um
Pisces into Scorpio and then into
because the grand
no, I'm
trine has
sorry.
to be like three blue trines that link together.
I see. Because this
Whereas like
is
Venus and
Leo and
Uranus form a
Sagittarius.
trine and Leo and
Yeah.
Sag, and then um Jupiter is actually forming a sextile to Mars. Yeah, but there's trines, but not a grand trine. The
Gotcha,
moon
gotcha.
and
Okay, I'm
Mars.
sorry.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, it's all over the place.
It is.
Or
Yeah.
she's just it's got a lot of it is not lopsided. It looks like
Yeah.
is that
And
am I saying that right? Yeah. Or it's like
yeah.
not right or left heavy, not super top or I guess it's a
Yeah.
little more maybe right heavy.
Uh-huh.
If I'm
Uh-huh.
looking at it correctly. But yeah, it's just there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it's not like the most public house. And Cancer is not the most public sign. So it's interesting. It makes sense to me that now that she's 30, I mean, she had this like short stint on this reality show, but like it seems like she's entering a more private time in her life. And I feel like with this chart, she really just wants to like feel at home and have a nice romantic relationship and be cozy and stable. But then there's that Jupiter in the 10th and the North Node in the 11th. I don't know. I see how she was sort of just like put in the limelight also. But
Yeah.
yeah, very interesting.
It is crazy how that happens to people, or like when we think about it, there's so many child stars, especially that I'm like, who knows if they really would have chosen that, if that was really, but
Right.
it's like when you're a child star, how do you do anything else? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
literally, you have no real world experience, you have no real world like experience working in it, but also kind of living in it. Like you're in a different world. It's has to be one of the most isolating experiences a human can go through, and it really makes me wonder how many of them would have fucking chose that and in the first place. It really is kind of like a it can be really sad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then just to like find out years later they were never protected and listened to or cared for properly, like.
Yeah.
And Lindsay is just always still, even when she was going through her, her rebellious party girl stage, as they all go through, because there's a psychosis that you have that I just can't imagine. Like no shit. I don't understand how you could be a child star and then like expected to find some level of groundedness. Like, but it
Yeah.
always does feel like they try. Like a lot of times they try. And even when she was more in her rebellious party girl stage, Lindsay was always still like a sweetie. She was
Oh
always still
yeah.
like a little sweetie, like a little
Yeah.
warm. I can't imagine. Yeah.
I
It is
know.
it's yeah, not to tangent it, but it is just like looking at child star charts, it has to always be so interesting because it's like they didn't really get to choose. Like, do you
Yeah.
feel like her chart, like if this wasn't someone who was a child actress, like I'm almost like it's really interesting to look at the chart, like what would the trajectory have been if it wasn't that they were thrown into this realm or this world. It's
Right.
just always so fascinating.
Yeah, there's a lot of creative like placements here.
Yeah.
I just think yeah, this isn't a chart of like say like a politician, like someone who's like thirsty
Mm,
for power or like someone who
yeah.
really just wants to be in the public in a yeah. Like I see it more as like a songwriter or like I don't know, something yeah, there's like there's these Leo plant Venus and Mercury in Leo, but it's the houses are really more the private houses. Like what she's meant to learn and explore in this lifetime is like having to do with personal identity more than it is how she relates to the public. But
Interesting.
the moon's in the 11th and Jupiter's in the 10th and that's a part of it too, but the majority of planets are in relationship and personal houses, So it's interesting.
That's really, yeah, that's so interesting.
But it
That
does
really is.
seem like she's not like Kristen Stewart, who also started acting at a very young age, but you can tell she's still like in love with the craft and like passionate
built
about
for
getting
it
new
a little bit.
roles.
Yeah.
And yeah. Whereas Lindsay,
Mhm.
it feels like she's talented and maybe she likes acting because it's creative, but it doesn't feel like
It's her drive or her where
yeah.
she, and like when you have fulfillment, like, and Kristen Stewart absolutely is also a child actor, but I do feel like Lindsay was one of those child actors. She was a household name as a child. Kristen, not saying she wasn't, but like I feel like Kate
It's
like
different.
really hit her like household name peak in the Twilight saga. All due respect to Kristen Stewart. Like all
Yeah,
due
no,
respect.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
like Lindsay hit that at Parent Trap like while she was still in a single digit of age, you know, like I don't know how, I think she was like maybe 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, maybe 12.
I want to say 10 or 11. Yeah.
Could be older, but like, you know, I just, there is sort of like a, yeah, it's almost like when you accomplish something so huge so young, um and it maybe not wasn't what you maybe always wanted to do in the first place, whereas like Kristen I think had a little more like drive and stepping stone to it, wasn't like immediately a household name as a child actor. um it's just interesting when you compare it that way, because I
Totally.
totally hear what you're saying, Heather, and I'm also like, yeah, Lindsay just strikes me as someone who like happened to get famous from acting as a kid, but maybe would just like to own a little hotel on an island and fuck the fuck
Right.
off, find her little
Right.
like, you know, like find her little slice of happiness, doesn't want to fuck with anyone, isn't trying to get in anyone's way, just wants to be,
Yeah.
it's just like
Grounded and
really wants to be
loved.
normal, but has like kind of, you're Lindsay Lohan, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you're Lindsay fucking Lohan. How do you just go and fuck off? It's
Yeah.
wild.
It is. It is.
Anything else, Heather, we should flag on Lindsay's chart? Again, I have no idea what I'm looking at.
No, I'll just say that she also nowadays, like in interviews and stuff, gives me that Cancer, like cool girl energy. Like, you know how some Cancers give off that, like, I don't know, they're chill, they're
It's
cool.
just
That's
here it
like,
is, and if you don't like it, okay. And
exactly.
we're not gonna overthink it or dwell. Like, yes, it very much, she has like this kind of like confidence of like, she's great with where she's at and what she's doing. It's the world that needs to catch up. Like
Oh,
it really
yeah.
does feel like, and the world does that. It puts this like pressure on these like child stars to stay in it. And it's like, can we not applaud a child star for fucking escaping it? Like, it's like we
I
all act
know.
like it's not. I don't blame her.
Yeah.
For just wanting to. She's like, okay, I did it.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. I'm going off to my island to own my hotel. What is the
Mm-hmm.
name of the reality show, Heather? Do you
Oh
remember?
God, what was it called?
I'll look it up because I really am
You
intrigued.
should. I mean, it's like funny.
I had no idea. Crazy.
It's funny. She has this like really like her like assistant, her or like the manager of the hotel that she like works with is like this gay guy who's like really just mean to all the employees, like in a way that's like just really like off-putting. He's just like really, I don't know. It's
really into it.
interesting. Yeah.
That's funny. That's fabulous. Lindsay, sweets, we love you. Come on the pod. You can do whatever accent you want.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Oh.
And then speaking of child stars who had no anatomy over their life and just things thrusted upon them.
True.
Our next birth chart. Not fully, but I guess I'll regroup to that. But
Yeah.
Our next birth chart, our next little Cancer, Heather, none other than Miss Khloe Kardashian. Now, I did just make that joke of like they're the same, and I was definitely making a joke, but now that I like think about it, I'm kind of like, I think we know this by now. None of the Kardashians started that show with the idea of where they would be 10 years later. And like
only Chris.
When she signed her soul off to the devil,
She was
she
like,
actually knew
I
all
see
of this
our
was gonna
future.
happen.
Yeah.
But no, like it is just it's wild. And like I do think there's like yeah, I mean, Courtney has talked about this on the show that she's like, I just don't think I'm good at being famous. Like, I just don't want to be famous. I just want like, but, and then Khloe and Kim kind of had this issue with her because it's like, it's during Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Khloe and Kim are having issues with Courtney because they don't feel like she's showing enough of her life. And Kim and Khloe are sitting there like, we're giving and we're like giving so much of ourselves. And it's not fair that you're not playing ball. But, and like, I think there's a point where Kim even says that, where she's like, if she doesn't want to be a Kardashian anymore, she doesn't get to have Kardashian privileges. Like, because it is kind of true. Like, where they're at now in this realm is like, I don't think any of them actually want to maybe do the reality show. It's what causes them so much anxiety and what gives them, like, you know, Courtney or Khloe has been so vulnerable and honest about the anxiety she gets now just from like appearing on talk show hosts, because the trolls and everyone who reaches out to them and like all the hate they receive. But I think there is this reality, like, if we don't play the game and we don't have this show, who are we and how do we stay relevant? Which now they do all have their own businesses in a way that I think they could all still remain relevant. But I'm seeing a lot more on the recent seasons. While they are definitely so sanitized because the Kardashians are all over it for production, I'm seeing a lot more of them discussing, it's a lot more like meta about the lives they're living and how hard it is for them and how much the trolls and people, the haters, really get to them.
Which is funny when their show is so fucking manufactured and in the hands of them.
No, yeah.
I'm like, when the Real Housewives complained about that, I'm like, well, yeah, like you literally have no control over, but
how people because.
But I do think that that's real, and I feel bad for Courtney and her Pisces rising, and I can only imagine.
I mean, Rob won't even come on the show because of his Pisces sun, and then here's Khloe kind of in the middle, and I think she talks about it more than she like maybe realizes it. And I think there's almost like a contract. There's like, not that anyone needs to feel bad for the Kardashians, and like they're not trying to say that. But like I just do think that I don't think any of them knew the world they were going to sort of evolve in, but it's a little different when you voluntarily sort of sign yourself up for reality television. Whereas like Lindsay and a lot of the shit she's like going through, I'm like, yeah, how much of this was even ever really a choice of hers? How much anatomy did she ever really have? The Kardashians still to this day have a choice. I mean, it's like episode 3 of the 3rd season and they're talking about like, do we quit? And I'm like, oh my God, you're clearly never going to quit the show. Just shut the fuck up and film. Literally. But, and with that, I do, Khloe, out of a lot of them, she does, she's so hard on herself when I watch the show.
Yeah.
She is so, it kind of surprises me that she's Cancer at times because of the way she is so like, I'm not going to get down in my feels. What's the point of replaying something over and over again? We got to move on. She's very about the forward momentum and going.
Yeah. Well,
she talks about this. Go ahead, Heather, please. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I feel like I think Cancer can go either way. I think that like in my experience, some of the Cancers I know really do try to just like, not today, I'll bury it, like, you know, next week maybe when I have a day to myself, I'll allow myself to feel. But like for now, and the Aquarius rising so approaches life that way, I think.
Really?
Yeah. But then I know Cancers also who are like, no, when I feel something, I embrace it and I like turn on a sad song and I go on Tumblr and like. But
well,
anyway.
It's so funny too because Khloe's matured a lot. Khloe's always been one of my like faves of the sisters. She back in the day before the show was super sanitized and she wasn't getting as much hate from like haters, and she was a little more just like authentically her. And they were all younger before they started all kind of putting, I think, some more shields up and getting a lot manicured on the show because like of like the bullshit feedback and stuff they get all the time. And not so bullshit feedback. But Khloe has become so like poised and restricted. She's also a mom now. Like she literally has kids and like she's been through fucking hell, man. Wow. Like she's just like gone through it a lot. And she even talks about this on the show all the time where she's just like, at this point, I'm just numb. Like so much bullshit has happened to me that like I just keep going. And she does talk about that where like there was something else I was gonna articulate. I've lost it now. I'm sorry. But like where she just like, this is kind of her whole thing. But when I'm watching the show, I'm sitting there like, ooh, girl, you're going to run out of road. You are going to run out of road and have to face those problems though. Like I don't always know if it's from a place of like, she even talks about this. She's like, I'm not saying it's healthy. It's how I cope. And I do think there's like and maybe especially becoming a mom. Oh, this is what I was going to add. But you'll watch an episode where Khloe has a little bit to drink. And that old Khloe comes out a little bit, that more feistier, like the Khloe I always assumed was a fire sign, honestly, which is so funny that she doesn't have a ton of like, well, we'll dig a little deeper, but like, oh, I just saw where we're at. Sorry. You want to pause here real quick?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just Khloe's whole thing is still, her little rowdiness is there under the surface of it all, especially when she drinks a little bit. And they talk about this, that Khloe becomes like an angry drunk. And I'm like, could it be that a lot of the things you're actually pissed about and don't allow yourself to be pissed about come into this, like the same way, like Lindsay, dealing with a lot of, I'm sure, her like childhood trauma, and then we have the media has the audacity to like point and laugh at these child stars when they're going through it. Like
I know. Anyways, and I do think cancers can be escape artists a little bit, just like Pisces can,
Scorpio a little bit. Yeah
it's hard to feel so much.
It's just Pisces is gonna feel it on the surface and then still escape it later.
Like, I know.
You're gonna know exactly what Pisces is going through and how they're doing it, and we'll see the self, like it's all like very clear and transparent.
But Pisces will get drunk and like talk about trauma with a laugh, whereas like Cancer, it's like, whoa, there, didn't see that coming.
It's like, oh, you're really processing in real time. Okay, I'm gonna need another shot. No, yeah, exactly. It is like I worry about Khloe. I worry because I feel myself when I watch the show and she's like, what am I going to do? Sit around and cry about it? I'm like, yeah.
Take a day at least. Yeah.
You should. Have you seen what you're going through? And there's just got to be, it's got to be so hard to be in the public and like not want people to win or feel down all the time, where you have to stay up this, this staying up thing. And like Kim also on a recent episode, I think this is like one season we're going to see Kim falter a little bit, which is like a first, because like she even says, she's like, yeah, I've never been depressed. I've never been down. And like they all
with your Pisces moon. Oh my God.
That's like Libra
that's talking.
Coming.
She doesn't even realize.
Because that's coming if it hasn't already. And then also, they all lost their dad. And then, Kourtney on this season has been very like, we don't process things. Like we're really there for each other for like celebrations and on the surface, but not on like their deeper shit where it counts. And then Khloe was like, I genuinely feel so awful if that's how Kourtney feels. But I'm kind of like, as a complete third party viewer who has nothing to do with this family and is not in their personal workings, I'm like, Kourtney's kind of, that checks out. I'm gonna be honest, as an audience member, I do, like,
I don't picture Kris like showing up no makeup with a box of tissues. I picture her being like, all right, you have that meeting tomorrow. Like,
so you got to stay like focused and up, because and my heart breaks for them sometimes. I'm like, when do you guys ever get a break to cry?
I know. No, you're so right.
I would need it. I would literally need the breaks.
I'd go insane.
It's just Anywhoozy, but looking more at Khloe's like chart, her actual like the physicality. Oh, I keep doing this. I keep losing my little charts when I pull them.
It's a crazy chart.
She also has a lot of like activity, I would say.
Yeah, but it's very unlike Lindsay. It's very, very clumped. It's very isolated to these specific areas.
Yes, like her right.
It's a very easy chart to read.
What are all those blue lines, Heather?
Yeah, so the Cancer, so she has Sun, like Mercury, and Venus colors, in Cancer. Right.
Like she's organized.
Yeah.
Like her
and she loves to organize. Yeah, that's so funny.
I'm like looking at her chart and I'm like, wow, Khloe Kardashian would love looking at her own chart, because I've never seen a chart like this. Literally, for the folks at home who are listening and can't see it right now, like all of her red lines are together. Sorry, Heather, I'm saying like red lines and green lines. I'm sure there's
say it.
terms, but like Whereas we were just looking at Lindsay's where it was a rainbow string of like strings, like just red, green, blue, all mixed. Khloe's chart is literally sectioned into here are all her red lines, here are all her green, and here's her blue. Like she, no wonder she is so anal.
Yeah.
And like clean and organized. Her
It's a
brain,
clean
her
and
world
organized
is.
chart. Yeah.
Oh my God. Heather,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm having heart palpitations. I'm like, look at her. I'm like, has she seen her chart? I want to talk to her about it.
Oh my God. I bet
this
she
is why
has.
you can't deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. That's
no.
crazy.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, I think that she needs to process these emotions. There's a lot of Cancer placements here. But there's a lot of strength in this chart too. And
that's her whole thing. Like
yeah.
she owns that and is like proud of it.
I think Aquarius rising is really like strong and can put up with a lot. And then she has these planets in Scorpio. She has like a personal planet, a social planet, and an outer planet. Well, the Pluto's technically in Libra, but all Saturn and Mars are in Scorpio, in Scorpio's house, forming a nice harmonious trine to the Sun and Venus and Mercury in Cancer. So there's a part of her that like wants to experience life on a really deep, intense level. But then the Aquarius rising can like detach. So it's interesting. There's like both. And then the moon is in Gemini, which is very light air, but it's in Cancer's house. So there's sort of like a dichotomy here, which I bet makes it easier for her to deal with these intense experiences, because on the one hand, there's a part of her that really does want the intensity. Right. And there's another part of her who's very able to detach and look at it from a broad scope. So,
wow.
It's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. No, her chart, that is hysterical. If you know Khloe Kardashian and you know her whole shtick, like her whole thing, how organized she is, how clean she is, how like it genuinely upsets her if something's out of like place, or like she just gets really, really like that. This is so funny. Like could not be funnier to me. I've never seen a chart like this, Heather. I don't know. I mean, maybe we have.
It's rare.
I've never seen it like that. Like the red, the green, like she literally, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. And like, you know, and it makes sense too. Like she got married pretty young to Lamar Odom. Right. And then he was really shitty in the end. And like she's even said, she was like, yeah, I mean, Lamar did a lot of things that I think people would deem like never speak to that person again. But she talks about how she's really good at like, I think when Khloe is done, she's done. And it is very easy for her to detach and let go when she no longer is like, when it doesn't feel right, or when it like, and she got so much shit for the Tristan thing too. Not to get all into that, but it is, I mean, when you have a baby with someone, there's a lot more bullshit you're willing to make work for your fucking kid. And if there's anything that I think Khloe Kardashian prides herself in, and as she should, is the kind of mom she is. I think and like, again, she's got that Cancer. They even talk about this on the show. Like they're all moms. They are literally all moms at this point, except for Kendall. And they all say this though about Khloe, that she is just such a tentative mother and such a mom. And like, but like what broke my heart, her like being married to Lamar, is that I was kind of like, ugh, she's mothering that man. Yeah. And that's not, and she, you know, and I don't mean that as like an insult. I more just meant like she deserves better. Like I didn't like how he treated her. That's like a whole different Khloe too. And she would talk in like her baby voice with him. Like, again, she's got this, like, she wants to nurture. She wants to be a mom. She's very good at it. And like knowing that she's Cancer now, seeing this chart, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, how could she not? You know, and apparently she was like this when she was younger with Kendall and Kylie. She was very like motherly to them.
Even though she's the youngest.
Right. Funny. And because of their like age difference, but understanding Cancer's energy a little more, that all checks out so much more for me. And like, it's just really, really fascinating. It's really fascinating. Yeah. I can't get over this chart. God, that's so funny.
Yeah, it is. It's really I know. I could talk about this chart for a
Organized.
long time though, because it's also easier for me to read when a chart is organized
Right.
like this because the
Right.
energies are isolated and it's just like less to take in. But yeah, the Uranus on the there's so much happening. Moon opposite Neptune tends to like attract relationships that are confusing and difficult, and then Uranus on the 10th is a lot of chaos with career, and yeah, there's a lot to take in here.
Wow. She's gonna find it though. She really just deserves someone who's gonna appreciate her Cancer ways and like just meet her needs. It does
Yeah,
kill
and it
me,
must be
this like
so
bullshit with
hard
Tristan.
being in
I hate his
Hollywood.
guts.
Like it's hard enough for
Yeah.
me to find like a relationship that's good and solid, and I'm just like have no money. I don't know. I can't imagine like living in that
Sorry,
world, trying to like find a healthy, good, real relationship.
I'm cracking up at what you said, but I also like,
I'm like, don't make it about me.
No. I'm cracking up, but also I was like reaching to, I don't know if you watched this, but I was reaching to get my straw to my coffee and it kept swirling. Like I literally kept being like
missing.
And I was cracking up at that too. No, yeah, I can't imagine dating in this world. I can't imagine being publicly cheated on in the really shit fucked up ways Tristan did it. And she's able to forgive him and move on. I'm not. As a Pisces, I want him dead. No, I'm just kidding. But I do just like he really, and maybe that's also, she doesn't need to have that much like hate for him or anything. It's he's the father of her kids, and like so she has to, like, she's just said that she's like, it's all very simple. Like, I'm not going to get back together with him, so I don't see, there's just nothing to work on or talk about, or like she's really like cut off from that. But it just makes me like, God, that is so heavy. That's so heavy and hard what she's been going through. And it really does seem like Khloe doesn't get a break a lot in these more like recent years. In a way that she's got one coming. If that makes sense.
I think so. I agree.
Genuinely believe Khloe's got some good shit her way because she just deserves it. And she's got this incredible, like, nurturing, warm nature that you can just see that she wants to wrap people up. And I wish she would wrap herself in it a little more.
Yeah.
But she's aware of this. This is something she talks about like recently on the show.
Yeah.
Where she's like, I'm really, really good at being there for others. And I would never speak to others the way I speak to myself sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, that's hard. That's a hard thing for anyone. But yeah, she's just this. I can't get over her chart either. It's just wild.
I know. I love your reaction.
It made me, I literally almost fell out of my chair.
It looks like her pantry. It's organized.
She took a whole garage. To make her fucking walk-in pantry. And this is the chart. Like, this is why.
Manifestation. Yeah.
Literally. God, I can't get over it. So funny. Again, folks, you can't make this shit up. It's in the stars whether we like it or not.
Literally.
Please. And with that, Heather, do we have any, is there any, I know you said you could do this chart all day. Are there any other like big outstanding things that we should, or did we hit them all for Khloe's?
That's it. I the last thing I would say is that I think the Aquarius rising maybe points to her feeling a little like a black sheep in the family. I know that she always like has joked that she's adopted and stuff like that, like especially in the early seasons. I think that that's all very Aquarius rising.
Really?
Yeah. But
just able to, she really has this like fuck off energy.
Yeah,
that, like,
and it seems like she knows her personality and is like good at expressing it. Yeah, versus some of the others just feel like they're like acting in scenes where like I think that she's charismatic and really herself.
Her. Yes. She is kind of built for reality TV. She's such a fun character. Yeah, especially her and Scott.
And the oh my god, yeah, and her Gemini moon and Scott's Gemini sun. Yeah, totally. They were like thriving.
That makes a lot of sense. That's funny. Khloe, we love you. Get your ass on the pod, girl. Let's cry about it. Let's talk about it. Let's cry about it. Huh?
We'll create a safe space, a safe Cancer space.
A safe Cancer warmth space. A little beach for all the crabs to come and hang out.
And Lindsay Lohan's there.
Please.
With her hotel. With her employees.
Her employees, her hotel. Her twin. Heather, beautiful. What a beautiful, beautiful. I'm really enjoying Cancer so far, I must say.
Yeah.
As we're not in it yet.
As we're not in it.
I'll let you know how I really feel. The contrast the episode after this is going to be.
It's so funny.
Just what a beautiful time. Heather, now I know, so the sun this week, for when the listeners hear this, correct me if I'm wrong, because I marked it on my little calendar. Hold on. But when the listeners hear this,
it'll be June 22nd.
Yes. And so this, like, officially the sun entered Cancer yesterday.
Yes.
So we're really in it now, boys.
We're at the start, and we're at the start of a new what's the word? It's summer. It's the summer solstice.
Oh yeah, the summer solstice.
I was going to say a new weather season, but that's not the term. A new whatever. Yeah, so that's exciting too. It's a cardinal energy. There's something very initiatory about this. And yeah, there's some interesting things this week. Mercury enters Cancer on the 27th, which is going to further highlight that lovey-dovey-ness in the air. And I think that communication in general is going to be a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more soft, a little bit more intuitive. So that's always nice. And then before that, though, on June 26th, Mercury is going to form a square to Neptune in Pisces. So Neptune rules Pisces. It's very soft, nebulous, mystical. Mercury is communication. So this square, which is like, a conflict, it's a 90-degree red line. That could mean that there's some confusion around conversation. You say things and it's not said the way you wanted it to, or your mind is a little bit foggy. That's very specific, but look out for that on the 26th. And then at the same time, Mars in Leo is going to form a square to Uranus in Taurus, which astrologers always say is like, watch out for accidents, watch out for injury. And I'm like, that is very pessimistic and very specific.
We hate
but
that.
I guess I know I kind of hate that. And maybe I shouldn't even be saying this on the pod. But anyway, June 26th is maybe a good day to just be in your blankets at home, feeling the Cancer, and, be a little careful. Just understand that there's some chaotic energy in the air on that day. And then Mercury enters Cancer on the 27th, and we have lots of Cancer action, lots of Leo action, lots of love in the air. So yeah, an exciting time.
What an exciting time, Heather. I love it. My goodness.
I know.
And we love you, listeners. Enjoy the new season. We've got a fresh new beginning. We're entering the summer solstice. It's summertime, baby. Hags. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have a great summer. We just are gonna have a great summer.
No, I am. I'm really excited about summer.
What a fun little time.
Yeah,
gorgeous. Thank you for that, Heather. I really enjoyed this. Yeah,
me too. It's always a pleasure.
It's just always a pleasure, folks. We're going to be right back here next Thursday. All right. Tune in. Stay light. Stay fun. It's summer, baby. Let's have a little, what am I trying to say? Summer loving had me a blast. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Summer loving happened so fast.
Like
the summer loving of your friends. Summer loving with your friends. Summer loving with your family. Summer loving with a romantic partner. Summer loving with yourself. We're in the Cancer energy, y'all. Let's just love and let, as Khloe Kardashian says, let go and let God.
Amen.
Amen. I love you, Heather.
Love you.
Infinite abundance, bitches.
Infinite abundance. Ciao.